Witam Państwa bardzo, bardzo serdecznie. Nazywam się Andrzej Szwan i moje życie jak gdyby artystyczne zaczęło się 60 kilka lat temu. Wystartowałem jako dojrzały abiturient gimnazjalny do Państwowej Wyższej Szkoły Teatralnej. Do egzaminu przystąpiłem, potem jest czas 2 czy 3 tygodni oczekiwania na wyniki. Oczywiście to są emocje. Wyniki się okazały dla mnie mało korzystne. Nie dostałem się do szkoły teatralnej, więc coś trzeba było robić. A ponieważ rodzinna sytuacja się ułożyła w ten sposób, że musiałem iść do pracy, to tę pracę zawodową potraktowałem poważnie, żeby pomagać w domu. Natomiast jeżeli chodzi o marzenia takie artystyczne, to coś się po drodze maleńkiego działo. No, były jakieś takie pomysły na teatrzyk domowy. Zagraliśmy Moralność Pani Dulskiej raz w zestawie, nazwijmy to koedukacyjnym, a drugi spektakl po latach był zagrany także Moralność Pani Dulskiej, ale już w wykonaniu aktorów, amatorów, gejów. I tak się dalszy los ciągle marzeń artystycznych spełniał. Zaczęły się jakieś propozycje do teledysku jednego, drugiego, trzeciego, po drodze jeszcze jakaś reklama, aż wreszcie spełnione marzenia na prawdziwej scenie teatralnej w przedstawieniu Orlando biografię według Virginia Woolf, na scenie prawdziwego teatru powszechnego, zresztą mojego ukochanego teatru. A jeżeli chodzi o przyszłość, no to na pewno ciągle oczekuje nawet człowiek, który już jest zaliczany do grupy seniorów, na coś jeszcze ciekawego, a może coś przez zaskoczenie fajnego i emocjonalnego, o czym się nie myślało. I tak się chyba stało, bo w najbliższy weekend, albo sobota, albo niedziela, ekipa TVN przedstawi jak gdyby krótką biografię, ale taką biografię zaczerpniętą już z rodzinnego albumu, gdzie ja opowiem o rodzicach, o tym, co się działo w tym takim życiu niby szarym w rzeczywistości poprzedniego, jak gdyby okresu, u nas nazywanym okresem siermiężnego PRL-u, ale dla mnie to był też okres i czas radosny, wesoły, a czasami bardzo smutny. Ale mam nadzieję, że będąc już zemerytowanym i zaliczanym do grupy seniorów, ciągle przede mną będą jeszcze jakieś wyzwania, a ja będę starał się wychodzić im naprzeciw i je w sposób na tyle rozsądny i na tyle emocjonalnie radzący sobie z tym wszystkim, wywiązywać się z tego wszystkiego jak najlepiej. Drodzy Państwo, w Toronto, tak jak w Warszawie, seniorzy pewno będą w różny sposób odbierać film Boylesque. Ja mam nadzieję, że Państwo odbiorą to z równie sobie ważnymi momentami swojego życia, a ja Państwa serdecznie pozdrawiam, bo uważam, że seniorom jak zwykle należy się i niby u schyłku, ale może jeszcze dalszym, długim życiu wiele ciekawych, radosnych zaskoczeń, chwil. I tymi słowami żegnam Państwa z Warszawy, życząc wszystkim seniorom również tam wspaniałych doznań, wspaniałych przygód i pozdrawiam serdecznie.
You're on.
Hi, and welcome to the question and answer for Boylesque. Delighted to be joined in conversation today. Oh, I should introduce myself. I'm John Greyson. I'm a Toronto filmmaker who works primarily dealing with making queer films. So it's a delight to engage with Bogna today. Welcome, Bogna, today to this discussion. Bogna is the producer director of Boylesque. And Bogna, I want to say first, congratulations on this extraordinary film. Incredibly moving, quite subtle. And of course, you premiered at Toronto 2022 Hot Docs Film Festival here in Toronto, where you won the Emerging International Filmmaker Award. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
A quick check-in with Chris. Are we doing the message from Lula now?
You're live. All the pre-recorded things have been shown.
Oh, perfect.
So Lula, okay, I'll catch up on Lula's message to the audience later. I think, as probably Chris and Judy shared with the audience, Lula wasn't able to join this conversation, but shared the pre-recorded message. And now we're live with Bogna. So let's start with Lula. How did you first hear of Lula's story? How did you meet Lula?
Well, since the very beginning, I wanted to make a close, intimate portrait. This I knew. I didn't knew the character, but I knew I have this kind of need to show people very closely, to talk about this fragility, emotions and stuff. And I also had this lack in me of perspective of men that have some more experienced men, I'd say, age-wise. I thought that I lack this, vulnerability from them. I don't have any films, books about it, not that much. I needed that. I also felt lack of this in documentary. And I didn't want to base it on fight or anything like that. I wanted to have this, I don't know how to say, warmth, whatever. So I was kind of, checking out the documentation and stuff, seeking characters. And because I'm bisexual myself, I'm in the queer underground in Warsaw quite a lot. So, as you do, you tell people and that you're doing something, you're seeking someone. And there was one drag queen in Warsaw who said, you need to meet Lula. So then it was not a long time until I was invited for a tea. And that's that. What I can say about this first meeting, it was pretty amazing because Lula lives in this highest floor in this block of flats in Warsaw, and it's very post-Soviet kind of thing. So it's very grayish, very dark, very kind of, this old school vibes. And you go into this floor and you have this really, sad, dark corridor. And in this corridor, he put tea lights so I could find his place. And then I thought, this is someone who has some kind of conversation with reality. This is someone who plays with it. So yeah, I was immediately drawn.
His apartment becomes a big character in your film, from the roof deck where he sunbathes through to the scenes that you were able to shoot both with others and with him. He's born in, I believe, 1939, and so he grew up a baby through the war years, and then through that whole extraordinary period of Poland under Soviet Union, and then through into the post-Soviet era. But you've made a very interesting decision, even though we get beautiful hints about that long stretch of history. You insist on telling the story very much in his present, his story today. Why did you make that decision?
The answer is complicated and simple at once. It's simple because, if I would meet you, first question that pops in my mind is not like what kind of life you lived. Past is important. Obviously, it is important. Like, you have thousands of people in therapy trying to do with past. It's important. But I have this huge problem with this ageism. I feel is woven into us almost. We have this grayish hair, and then we suddenly, okay, this human is an archive now. Tell me how it was. It's very bizarre if you think about it, and it goes both ways. We go to this people who are in certain age. We ask them about how it was. This is how we give them attention. They really need attention, as all of us. We all need attention. So they have. And they usually have stories that they're told hundreds times, so they have really well written stories, I'd say, and they repeat that, and they feel this is their value and their only value, and it's the cycle repeats itself until you don't even know that these people have other things to do. And I think it's a matter of being with person and seeing him, asking him, how are you? You know, don't entertain me, tell me, how are you? You know, what pains you, what makes you happy, whatever. So I did this decision, and as you can imagine, Lula has amazing stories. He's a character in books now. He's a celebrity kind of in Poland, so he talks about how it was.
All those
So
beautiful scenes on the street with people recognizing him and saying,
yeah,
"Oh, was that you in the interview?" Yeah.
yeah, so you can kind of find it. Why do another movie about it? You know, it's there already. And I was really interested in him now. He has this something in him now. Why don't ask him? And also his friendship with Damian. This is amazing intergenerational friendship. I would never knew about it if I would ask him about the past. So
There's three friendships which are portrayed on screen. One is, of course, with Magic, who is memorialized, and the story of their long-term relationship is hinted at. And again, doesn't go deep into the details, but we get a sense of an extraordinary relationship that's very central to his life even today. We have his current friendship with Irina, going out dancing, going to the sauna, and that the warmth of that friendship that's done almost between words, more through actions than words. And then finally, as you say, with Damien, where there's wonderful conflicts. It's a wonderful three-dimensional relationship. They're prickly in ways which bring, both of them come alive because it's not just idealized. Was there a negotiation with Lula around what you could show or what you couldn't show? Were there any tense times of Irina or Lula saying, no, not in the sauna, or please bring your camera in the sauna, etc.?
Well, at the end, Lula had loads of ideas. Half of them were absolutely impossible to film in the movie. Like let's film this. He wanted to film everything at the end, but more or less, my approach was to be very honest about what I think movie is about right now and what direction I want to go. So since the very beginning, I have this method that I think it's doesn't matter, is the only method that should be done, but the way I do it, for example, since the very beginning, I met with character and I say, I'm director, this is a camera, we're going to work like this. It's not about camera, it's about me and our trust. I can record something and then edit it out. The fact that camera is on doesn't mean it's going to the movie. And then I'm talking a lot about what movie is about. So I was going to Lula from time to time and saying stuff that were also uncomfortable for me or for him. I was like, I'm worried about, this. I feel that you like telling this story about the past, and I feel that you like to be this, happy person, like, happy-go-lucky kind of thing. And what do you think? Because I see a lot of sadness as well. I see grief. I'm visiting you, for a fifth time, and there were like 4 funerals already. I would like to talk about it. I would like to talk about death. I would like to talk about this preparation. Are you okay with this? And he was more or less, going into this conversation, and we built some trust. And then he was also suggesting some stuff. So I think I needed to show him that I'm not only interested in the past. That was the first thing, and then build some trust, and then it's then it goes.
I think one of the strongest impressions coming out of Lula is his back and forth between he's planning his memorial urn, this extraordinary urn, and it actually arrives in the package, and it's an amazing moment, and it's an amazing urn, no question. But it goes back and forth, and you beautifully tell the story of it going back and forth between him cruising on, I think the site is not Grindr, but Fellow, is that right?
Yeah, Fellow, yeah.
Is it specific to Poland, or is it a European
No, not really.
site?
We have, I think there is a lot of these websites, so you have loads of them, and it's just more based like dating site, so you can write some more than in Tinder or Grindr when you just swipe through photos. So that's why he chose that.
I'm just getting a text from Montreal, but it hasn't. And we'll wait while it comes through.
I'm very happy to have audience asking questions. I love it. I think that people on the other side of the film are making half of the film, in my opinion. You take this story and you put it in yourself, and then you mix it with all the experiences and thoughts and your own, fragility and everything. So each person has different movie. I really do respect that. And to do so, I think the viewer needs to trust me. So if anyone asking a question means I have trust, so thank you so much.
Here's the question from Montreal. It was lovely seeing the Pride Parade scenes in the film. And I believe the Pride Parade scenes are both in Berlin. We see Lula and friends get on the train to Berlin. And so is it Pride in Berlin as well as Pride in Warsaw? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's Berlin and then Warsaw.
Yeah. And then here's the question. Can Bogna speak about the role of sound in the film in the form of its soundtrack and its silences, both of which I found very poignant? And I'll echo that, particularly the music, your use of music. So, yeah.
Yeah, you see me, I'm excited about this question, of course. Well, half of this music we wrote, which is, I think, unbelievable. I'm so proud of, our composer and the guys that he brought with him, because, well, the point is that I had this idea, drag and music goes together. There's no point, no question about it. But my idea was to make this performative part with real life stories, kind of, and make it dreamy, musically. I wanted to make this weird kind of mixture of everything, and then we needed music, obviously. So when you hear the lyrics and they are surprisingly well fitted to what we watch, is because we wrote these songs. We actually wrote these songs. We had this mellow kind of indie vibe that we tried to go to just. And also Wojtek Frycz, who is an amazing composer, he invited Gen Z musicians, which was also important for me because I wanted to make it very intergenerational, as Lula is. And another thing I need to say is that it will be on Spotify. The point is that we now have some paperwork to sign with HBO and whatever, but it will be on Spotify. So if anyone is interested in these songs, they will be there. And you can simply find us on Instagram, like Boylesque underline film, and we're there. And you can also find my Instagram through that. And on both of them, we will spam with music when it's there, because I'm so proud of them. And I think they need to be, this music should be out.
Boylesque on
the movie
Spotify.
Is one thing and the music is another. Yeah, Boylesque on Spotify it's going to happen. Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you.
We started talking before the question and answer began about activism, and you're going to be showing Boylesque in Watchdogs, which is Warsaw's famous human rights film festival, quite activist in character. And I'm really intrigued by Boylesque, thinking about Boylesque in the frame of activism. Gay rights, I just learned by doing a little Googling that gay rights in Warsaw, in Poland, are considered in a 2022 international like a study, the worst in the European Union. Poland's considered the worst in terms of gay rights, and yet contradictory. There's been pride parades through the 2000s, so at least for 20 years, though sometimes having to protest illegally, protest against the police. And equally, it's been legal to have gay sex in Poland since 1932, and the age of consent was 15, which puts it way ahead of Canada, where it was only 1969 that we finally got some limited gay rights. So within that contradictory frame, your Boylesque is an incredible portrait of an individual who's lived through 82 years of extraordinary history, and you give us glimpses and hints. But can you talk about your take on, you were saying how pleased you were that it's in the frame of the Watchdogs Festival. So can you talk about that, how this film fits within that larger activist project, even though you've chosen to tell a wonderfully singular story?
Yeah, well, I don't want to go too deep into what's happening in Poland with gay rights. It's tricky. What is that everything seems to be okay apart from marriage, but then you have a lot of media, a lot of problem with just feeling comfortable. I think that the worst place in Europe to live is all about feelings. You just don't feel safe. You get the looks in the cities, you get the looks, and in smaller cities you can have problems. People are extremely homophobic in the matter of just like basic culture you just live through, and this is a big deal. And I think that when I was making this movie, I felt that maybe we can go a step further, and apart from saying it is bad, because we have a lot of materials, a lot of movies that are saying it is bad, and then from one hand, I think it's important, because first moment you say, okay, this is a minority, and people say, no, it's not a minority, they are just regular people, and then you need to prove that they have problems. So this is the first level you go to. But after a while, I kind of feel that it's almost fetishizing this suffering. You have everyone who is in any minority asked questions only about it, just like old people are archives. The same thing happened. You just define these people with the language of the oppressors. You have people who just create the narrative, and then you, as a person who wants to treat other person equal, you take this narrative and you have whole conversation and relationships about that. And I think this is a huge problem. I lack the conversations that treat these people as people. Let's just do that. So I kind of wanted to do that, but with that said, I was not sure if it will be recognized that this is my activistic part, because you can easily say, but this movie doesn't show any problem. But I was with this movie in Toronto, I was with this movie in Bergen, I was with this movie in Prague, and everywhere people are saying, yeah, but this is so bad in Poland, which proves the point that you don't need to say that. Everybody knows it already. Everybody knows it. So this means that showing this person as a person is, in my eyes, much more important. And this is the activism, this fragile, vulnerable activism that teach us how to empathize. I think this is what we need also.
I think that's a perfect place to end our conversation today, unless there's any more questions coming through, Judy. But I do, let's wrap it up there. Bogna, thank you so much for your film and for this conversation. An honor and a privilege to be able to chat today. And give Lula big kisses from all of Toronto.
I will. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Zaciekawiłeś mnie. Nie szukam maskotki, zabawki, syna, wnuka, psa, świni, cfela, mastera, tylko pełnowymiarowego i ciepłokrwistego partnera, który nie boi się bliskości. Ideolog.
Finally I found you wandering my way. Your cheeks, your eyes, your smile, that's all it takes.
Ciągle myślę, że jeszcze się coś może zdarzyć.
Ja mam nadzieję, że się już nic nie zdarzy.
W moim życiu,
No i
a ja mówię o swoim. Why? Ja mam 50 lat od was więcej. Zdajcie sobie z tego sprawę.
Never let someone so close again.
Maciek mi po prostu zazdrościł, jak to określa stara gwardia, wszystkiego, mojej chęci pójścia na wódkę, do kabaretu, do szaleństwa jakiegoś. Bo Lula to, bo Lula ma 100 kochanków, bo mówił to jak gdyby z pretensją. No mnie tam się podoba nawet. I daje ile gwiazdek, zobacz.
2.
2.